Game 1 of the quarterfinals between Ansi A and Moth Kebab. Ansi A is playing the green-black Aristocrats deck popularized at Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad. This deck looks to fill the board quickly with cheap value creatures that synergize well with both Nantuko Husk and Zulaport Cutthroat. This deck can deal large amounts of damage out of nowhere, and the consistency makes an extremely powerful contender. Moth Kebab is playing a unique Sultai deck featuring a bevy of powerful creatures. 4 Sylvan Advocate and 4 Thought-Knot Seer headline the deck that also features Tireless Tracker, the Gitrog monster, and Dragonlord Silumgar. Very creature heavy, this deck only contains Ultimate Price, Warping Whale, and Oath of Nissa as its non-creature spells. Ansi A wins the die roll and opts to play first here in Game 1 of their quarterfinals match. Turn 2 Elvish Visionary for Ansi A is met by Turn 2 Deathcap Cultivator for Moth Kebab. Cryptolith Right into Zulaport Cutthroat is matched by Tireless Tracker into land. Ansi A is quick to Ultimate Price Moth Kebab's Tracker and follows up their turn 4 with a Nantuko Husk. Another Tireless Tracker into an Evolving Wilds is what Moth Kebab opts to go with, and they pass the turn. Turn 5 is a blowout as Nantuko Husk attacks and is not blocked. Ansi A uses Collected Company mid-combat and finds 2 Catacomb Sifter, giving him an additional 4 creatures to use for the Husk's bidding. With a Zulaport Cutthroat already on the battlefield, each creature sacrificed to Nantuko Husk is an effective 3 damage. 1 for the Cutthroat trigger, and +2/+2 to the Husk. With 6 creatures sacrificed and the Nantuko Husk's base 2 power, Ansi A one-shots Moth Kebab on turn 5 with 6 Zulaport Cutthroat triggers and a 14/14 Nantuko Husk. Wow! Game 2 of the quarterfinals match between Ansi A and Moth Kebab has Moth Kebab on the play, who has nothing but lands for the first 2 turns. Meanwhile, Ansi A uses a Transgress the Mind on their turn 2, notably seeing a Clipwings. Nissa Vastwood Seer on turn 3 is matched by a Nantuko Husk. Moth Kebab is quick to Ultimate Price the Husk and follow up with a Deathcap Cultivator, getting in for 2 points of damage with Nissa. Elvish Visionary and Duskwatch Recruiter join the battlefield for Ansi A, but Moth Kebab plays a Duskwatch of their own, leaving up 3 mana to potentially activate it. Another Nantuko Husk and a Zulaport Cutthroat join Ansi's position, but end-of-turn Duskwatch Recruiter activation reveals Kalidas, Trader of Get, who looks to put a real pain in that plan. Kalidas enters the battlefield. Nissa Vastwood Seer enters the side for Ansi, who does have a Westvale Abbey on their board. Another end-of-turn activation of Duskwatch Recruiter. Moth Kebab transforms their Nissa on turn 7 and follows up with a Thought-Knot Seer to strip some power from Ansi A's hand. Ansi A transforms their Nissa off of a Hissing Quagmire, then plays Catacomb Sifter and attacks with their Nantuko Husk. Moth Kebab blocks with Thought-Knot Seer, and a few tokens are eaten to get rid of the Seer. Notably, if any non-token creatures were sacrificed, then Kalidas would remove them from the game, and Moth Kebab would get extra tokens. On their next turn, Moth Kebab attempts to steal the opposing Duskwatch Recruiter with Dragonlord Silumgar. But, in response, Ultimate Price kills Kalidas, and then a sacrifice to the Nantuko Husk means that Moth Kebab neither gets the zombie from Kalidas or the Duskwatch from Dragonlord Silumgar. Both Nissa, Sage Animists remain on the battlefield, giving each player a continuous supply of advantage, but Ansi A is forced to continuously sacrifice creatures in order to force the Nantuko Husk through. A second Kalidas, Trader of Get from Moth Kebab, meets a quick Ultimate Price, but not before Dragonlord Silumgar is able to take out Nissa, Sage Animist. Nantuko Husk continues to hit the red zone and is forced to continue to sacrifice other creatures to stay alive. Westvale Abbey certainly is helping Ansi A stay afloat this game, but another Thought-Knot Seer into deadweight onto his Zulaport Cutthroat has Moth Kebab way ahead. Add this to the fact that Duskwatch Recruiter and Nissa are still churning out value for Moth Kebab, and it seems very hard for Ansi to get out of this one. More Duskwatch Recruiter activations from Moth Kebab, more Nissa activations, and more creatures are making this very, very hard for Onsi A to come back. Dragonlord Silumgar continuing to poke in, Onsi A continuing to produce Westvale Abbey tokens, but remember, Onsi A knows that Moth Kebab has a Clipwings in their hand. The players go back and forth for a few more turns, and things potentially look good for Onsi A, who casts Zulaport Cutthroat. Unfortunately for him, Moth Kebab has the ultimate price to kill Nantuko Husk in response, stripping any hope of Onsi being able to life drain him out. A few Duskwatch activations later, Moth Kebab shuffles their library and has a deadweight for the Zulaport Cutthroat. Onsi gets multiple scries off the Catacomb Sifters, but at this point it's just way too much. And even though Westvale Abbey on Onsi's side could prove to be good, well, he knows that Moth Kebab has the Clipwings. A large attack leaves Onsi A at 2. Onsi A tries to find something with Collected Company, but concedes the game after finding nothing and knowing about the Clipwings in Moth Kebab's hand. We go to a Game 3 between Onsi A and Moth Kebab, where Onsi is now on the play. Turn 1 Blister Pod into Turn 2 Elvish Visionary is met by Deathcap Cultivator for Moth Kebab. Onsi A uses Ultimate Price on the Deathcap and continues to further develop their board with Cryptolith Rite and Zulaport Cutthroat. Unfortunately for Onsi, Moth Kebab has a Tireless Tracker which is completely shutting down all of the 1/1s, and Moth Kebab is continuing to develop their board with much larger creatures. Hissing Quagmires are sitting on the side of Onsi A, sort of holding off the threats on the other side, but things are looking grim as Moth Kebab uses a Warping Whale to exile the Zulaport Cutthroat. He then starts attacking in with the now 4/5 Sylvan Advocates and the Tireless Tracker, which trades for a Hissing Quagmire. More and more creatures enter the battlefield for Moth Kebab, as Onsi A can do nothing but play lands and pass the turn. A Kalitas, Trader of Get, looks to be the final nail in the coffin. But Ultimus Price potentially leaves them with a glimmer of hope. The second Hissing Quagmire trades for a Sylvan Advocate, but Moth Kebab's forces are still overwhelming the small creatures of Onsi A. A deadweight is responded to with Collected Company, which finds at least a Catacomb Sifter and a Duskwatch Recruiter. Unfortunately for Onsi A, an all-out attack from Moth Kebab is going to leave him with no creatures. With 1 life and nothing to do, Onsi A concedes the game and Moth Kebab takes this quarterfinals match 2-1.